Welcome to my third grade classroom. As you can see, this is the outside of my classroom door, and I have decorated it to make it a warm and welcoming environment when you first walk in the door. I have the word welcome down the side, and there are some different Dr. Seuss quotes in the rectangles, which you probably cannot read from the image. This just gives us an introduction to the social environment that I'm creating in my classroom, and a sense of welcoming and a sense of family. This connects to my unit because I'm going to be teaching the students to be welcoming to others and welcoming people into their lives. Here you see the flip side of my front door, and so when my door is propped open, this would be the image that you would see. In the middle there is a poster that says, "Before you go, show what you know." And this demonstrates to my students that their knowledge is valued because they can post with a Post-it on their class number something they've learned or something they'd like to share. This also can be used as a quick formative assessment, which is how I will be using it in my unit. Around the poster you see little paper people that the students decorated on the very first day of school to show that we are all special and we are all a part of this class. As you enter my classroom, this would be the first thing you would see on the left. These two shelves house the reading and writing workshop binders. This helps students keep organized materials, and they're also a place where they can refer back to different anchor charts or lessons that we've done throughout the year. This promotes literacy development by keeping an organized, thoughtful way to use their resources. These will be beneficial to my social unit because they will be doing some reading and writing activities, and they can store them in these binders and refer back to them throughout the unit. Here you see my teacher's desk, and again I have stuck with my theme of keeping the classroom a warm and inviting environment by sticking with the red and black theme throughout the classroom. Here's where I will do planning, grading, etc. It's very approachable. Students feel welcome to walk up to the teacher's desk because I have it organized and cute. This is where all the planning for my unit will happen, as well as grading the things that they produce. This is actually an example that we talked about in class. I remember one of our group times we talked about graffiti vocabulary, and I came right back to my classroom and had my students do this for their social studies unit. But this is just an area where I can display student work. And again, this demonstrates that their knowledge is valued because I'm posting it in the classroom for others to see. And not only in this area, but out in our hallway and in our commons area, I display student work as well, which you're not going to see an image of. I can also pull this down and then display their work throughout the social unit as well. Here is my rocking chair. Again, you sense that warm, homey feeling when you look at this rocking chair. It sticks with the color theme. This is where all the read-alouds happen, both led by the teacher as well as students. The class gathers on the black carpet there in the front, and the reader sits in the rocking chair, and it's just like preschool or kindergarten. You know, we all gather around together. This helps me know that the students are focused on what I'm wanting them to hear and learn, as well as a more intimate family type setting. This connects to my unit because this is where students will read or will sit when I read to them throughout the unit. Here you have a view of the front of my classroom. On the left you'll see the smartboard, and this is an example of some of the multimodal materials that we use throughout the classroom, as well as on the right the paper pencil format of an anchor chart. It's hard to tell from the picture, but you can see some little math tips and facts up on the board as well. All of this just works together to give the students the instruction that they need. This is where direct instruction happens. There will be a constant use of this throughout my unit whenever I am doing direct instruction. To the right of that anchor chart that you saw in the previous slide are my two desktop computers. Students have access to these computers for internet, research, typing, word processing, any of those things. We also have a laptop cart, which we can bring into the classroom, so every single student can be on a device at the same time. You will not see a picture of that because they're locked up when it's not a school day. This is another example of multimodal materials throughout the classroom. It also is an example of an opportunities for students to lead their own learning, and these will be used in my unit for the research project they will do at the end. Just around the corner from those two desktop computers is one example of a student group. I have 6 groups with 4 desks in each group in my classroom, and these groups are changed monthly. They are not grouped by level or anything like that in these groups. In fact, I try to have a varied grouping for their desk. This provides an opportunity for a social environment. It also provides an opportunity for peer models and leaders. Again, you see in the middle of each group there is a little organizer that matches the theme, gives it more of a homey feeling. At the beginning of the year, in the center of those organizers, there was a plant. Most of those plants have not made it throughout the year, but it was just that homey feeling to make them feel like they belong. During our social unit, we will need leaders during our projects and work time, and these groups provide an opportunity for that. Right behind that group that you just saw are my bulletin boards, and I have my bulletin board divided into 4 sections. Our core lessons have their anchor chart up under math, writing, and reading, and that is the most recent lesson that we've had, or unit perhaps that we've had. The students have access to all the previously taught anchor charts as well. They are under the top one. I encourage my students to walk over to those and flip through to find what they need. On the end there is just a math workshop rotation that stays up year round, and it just gives some little information about what they're doing in math workshop each day. This encourages literacy development because they can flip back through those, see what they've learned, apply it to new learning, and also just reading the anchor charts as well. This does require some student initiative because they are encouraged to walk over on their own and flip through those. This will be beneficial throughout our social unit because I will be putting some anchor charts up there with the new information taught, as well as referring back to some other information as well. Here is an image of my bathroom door, and you might think it's kind of funny that I would include this in the slideshow, but on this is just a little poem about how we are all family and how we are all involved in the same learning process, and it just builds that social environment and sense of family and the sense of everyone belonging as well. This is a direct link to my social unit because we are dealing with caring and loving others throughout the course of the unit. This is our class pet, and you can't really see him in this image, but you'll see him better in the next image. His name is Mr. Pickles. He's a fire-bellied toad. And the reason that I have a class pet is for that social development and taking responsibility in the classroom. Each week, a different student is responsible for taking care of Mr. Pickles. It digs deep into our social unit because, again, we're talking about caring for others, and even though this is just a pet, it is someone who is dependent on the students, and if they did not do their job, he could not survive. Here's that close-up picture of Mr. Pickles. It's a little bit hard to see him with the flash on the glass, but he is under the log. You see his green with black speckles. And this also provides some student motivation. They know if they're not responsible with their learning that they are not going to be chosen to do the class pet. So it kind of just builds that motivation. And it also is something that all students can be successful at and learn that they have value within the classroom. This connects to my unit because everyone is good at something, and it's just about finding what they're good at and then helping them develop those skills. Here's my kidney table in my classroom, and this is where I spend a big chunk of my day. This is my needs-based grouping. So my groups at the tables or at the tables are not needs-based, but these groups that come back are. This would be a small group of 6 or less students, or possibly one-on-one learning time. This is a time of literacy development where I give them that more intense instruction on their specific needs. Throughout the unit, this will be used for reinforcement of skills that have been learned, or ideas that have been learned, or it could be one-on-one reteaching as well. Here is another area for some group work. This is our rectangle table. You'll see there's some supplies available to the students in the middle. They can take some initiative and go over and grab what they need at any time. This is another example of my social environment. This area would be a student-led group, not a teacher-led group, and it could be varied grouping or it could be needs-based grouping. Typically, I will have a student leader or a peer role model leading that group, and this is an intimate area where they can work without the distractions of their regular desks. Throughout my unit, groups can work here with a peer leader on their project, particularly on their final project. I spoke a little bit earlier about student jobs in the classroom. Here is another student job, which is the mailman, and this is the mail station. And at the end of the day, the mailman will deliver all papers to the mailbox, and then the students are responsible for grabbing their papers at the end of the day. As you can see, before spring break, not all students grab their papers, so some are still left there, which they will get after spring break. This is included because it is another opportunity for students to be leaders and take responsibility. Again, that responsibility piece is a direct connection to my unit. You're going to see a couple of shots of my classroom library. This area is the fiction area of the library. As you can see, it's all matchy-matchy and cutesy with the rest of the classroom, which I feel makes it very inviting, warm, and homey. This will promote literacy development because students want to be in the library. You can see the pillows there also match the classroom, and students are on a rotation for the pillows, so each day there are a group of students who get to use the pillows and take them to their reading spot to read, or even if they have free time, they can go into the library to read using those pillows. There are a variety of multimodal materials in here. Yes, they are all print materials, but there are fiction, nonfiction, catalogs, magazines, activity books, all kinds of different things in the library. So there's something for everyone. Again, this will promote their motivation. The tubs are very easy access. On the front of each tub, there's a label with what the genre is. Sometimes it's genre, sometimes it's even more specific with a certain type of book that's in there. For example, Diary of a Wimpy Kid is very popular in 3rd grade, so I have a whole tub that's just Diary of a Wimpy Kid. If they want that book, they know right where to go. The comfortable seating, again, is also high motivation to come into the library. All of this connects to my unit because literacy is a key component in my unit, and this is where literacy happens in my classroom. Above the library are just some motivational signs like read and the different genres. This promotes reading and also makes the genres become accessible. If I tell them they need to find a historical fiction book and they're not sure what that means, they can look up on those signs and get a glimpse of what that exactly means, and then that can help them dig into the library to find a certain book. These posters will reinforce the many genres that will be used throughout my unit. Finally, I've included a shot of my behavior chart, and I just feel like behavior is the underlying component of a successful classroom, and I want that to shine through. They know the social expectations in the classroom, and positive behavior is rewarded, whereas negative behavior has consequences, and this is just a visual representation of that. They each have a clip, as you can see in the middle, and it says ready to learn, and they can move their clip up for choices they make that go above and beyond my expectations. However, they can move their clip down if they have negative choices as well. The system provides an opportunity for redemption. So even though they move down their clip, they still have an opportunity to move it back up, and it's my hope that everyone would end their day on or above ready to learn. This connects to my unit because I do have very positive expectations for the unit in general, and I think this system will promote that. Thanks for taking a look at my classroom. I hope you enjoyed it.